On this week's edition of the NNY Capitol Report, we take a look at a bill sponsored by some Senate and Assembly Democrats that could help to track the use and disposal of a class of potentially dangerous chemicals, PFAS. As the Watertown Daily Times has reported, these chemicals are used in a wide range of products and are being released into local waterways largely untreated. Some lawmakers at the state level have taken notice and are now hoping to enact a new law to require more extensive testing of potential sources of the chemicals.
I actually carry a PFAS disclosure bill that requires those point sources of PFAS, the industrial level kind of PFAS dumping that happens, that be disclosed so that local municipalities and other authorities can figure out what to do, both to prevent it from being dumped in the first place, but also to treat it once it's in the waterways. But you're absolutely right, we need much more regulation, especially of landfills, and in some future year, we're gonna pass a number of bills like Senator Kavanaugh's bill to reduce waste so that we don't need bigger and bigger landfills all the time.
The bill has the support of advocates in Albany, like the environmental advocates of New York.
Absolutely. So Senator May and Assemblymember Kellis's PFAS Discharge Disclosure Act is all about figuring out how much PFAS pollution is entering our environment, how much are industries and wastewater treatment plants releasing into our streams and lakes and groundwater. Because as we've been learning, as the science has continued to develop, PFAS chemicals pose an enormous risk to human health and to aquatic life. So anytime these chemicals are being discharged into our state's water bodies, New Yorkers have a right to know about it. So the PFAS Discharge Disclosure Act helps ensure that when facilities are having their permits renewed or they're applying for a new permit, that they're testing for PFAS. We want to make sure that even if those permits are being administratively continued, that testing happens, and that especially those facilities that might be upstream of a wastewater treatment plant, an industry like a landfill that's sending their waste to that wastewater treatment plant to be treated, we want to make sure that facility is testing proactively for PFAS so we can identify those upstream PFAS sources and hopefully put in place the regulations to treat and eliminate that source of exposure.
The majority of the chemicals that are out today do not have proper testing and evaluation by the federal government to start. It's the opposite situation where you have to prove something is unsafe as opposed to proving it's safe. And the PFAS, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of chemicals, and we're just scratching the surface on the basic few classes that we have been trying to ban. And so to Senator May's point and others' point, the challenge right now is to stop it from getting into the environment in all the different ways and all the different points it does, because it's much cheaper to prevent it from getting into the environment, whether it's in products, whether it's at point sources, than it is to remediate.
Yeah, so right now our State Department of Environmental Conservation does have some policies in place to address PFAS in discharges. They're requiring proactive testing by priority facilities in drinking water watersheds, facilities that might pose a special risk to the waters where people get their water when they turn on the tap. And DEC is also prioritizing some of those permits for additional testing, possibly even limitations on their permits when they come up for the full renewal. But as we know, the state's permitting process can take a really long time. This is not a quick process, but we know that PFAS poses such an urgent threat to our health, and that's why Senator May and Assemblymember Kellis's bill would really help kind of speed up some of that testing, get some of that more proactive testing, so we can better find out and more quickly how much PFAS pollution is entering our environment.
The bill has already passed in the state Senate and is likely to come up for a vote in the Assembly at some point before the end of session this year. Lawmakers are hopeful this is the year it finally becomes law. For the Watertown Daily Times Albany Bureau, I'm Alex Gault.